Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Alfonso Speaks. Welcome back to more Darrell Brooks content. You guys ready to get upset? Well, before we do, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, ring that bell, well, hit that bell so that you can get notifications every time I post, every time I go live, so that you never miss a thing. And also, don't forget, I upload videos like way ahead of time. Now you can wait for the scheduled date for them to come out, or you can see all of the videos that I have uploaded as soon as I upload them. All you gotta do is get yourself a membership. Bronze tier. We only got one tier membership here, and it's $5 a month. And gives you access to everything all at once. Okay, so make sure you guys are taking advantage of that. And let's get into one of the most controversial moments of this trial, and that is the sentencing remarks from Don Woods. Now, you guys have heard me a lot talk about accountability and how I believe that Don Woods never gave Darrell any real accountability in his life. And that's why he turned out the way that he did. Obviously, not all the blame goes to her. He had two parents, right? And one of them was an absentee father. But you play the hand that you're dealt. Um, As people like to say, you got to be careful who. Why am I getting the thumbs up thing again? Guys, why does this keep happening? I don't know. Last time I got balloons. Okay, anyway. Um that just threw me off. It's not all Don Wood's fault. However, just because something isn't all your fault doesn't mean that you're not culpable. And Don is culpable for choosing to lay down with who she laid down with. She knew who he was, and she still had children with him. And then adding to that, multiplying that by shielding Darrell from any type of consequence, accountability throughout his entire life. And obviously, we see the way that he turned out. Now, I know of a lot of people who grew up with single mothers. I know how some of them turned out. I know how others turned out. You get dealt the hand that you get dealt, and it's up to you to either use it as a reason to go down the dark path or motivation to go down a great path. And we all know which one Darrell took. But let's get into these sentencing remarks from Don Woods because they rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and rightfully so. So I've never, I don't think, dissected this moment in the trial on the channel. So we're going to do that now.
Is this your mom? All right, so I can see Dawn Woods on the Zoom. Miss Woods, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
All right, thank you. I know you have your camera on.
One thing I noticed immediately, and you guys can't see, I'm going to actually change this angle so you guys can see a little bit wider of what's going on here. Okay. So you guys can see, if you look closely there, Darrell just had his mask on, and I'll rewind it so you can see it.
All right, so I can see.
Darrell has his mask on. The moment that he knows that his mother is coming onto the stream, onto the Zoom, he takes the mask off. Now, why does he do this? Well, it could be to garner sympathy because he does a lot of crying while she's speaking, while the people are speaking on his behalf, his grandmother, his mother, his best friend. He only had three people. He said, you guys remember when he said there was going to be like 20? Yeah, that didn't happen. And none of them actually showed up in the courtroom. They all showed up via Zoom. I'm I'm curious, if Zoom wasn't an option, would they have showed up to the courtroom? It's a very interesting question to pose. But yeah, like look at him now. So he has on the mask. And now look at the bottom left corner. He's not wearing the mask anymore. He takes it off immediately once he knows that his mother is on the Zoom call. Okay. So just want that little nugget to be pointed out. Now let's go back to this because I love this one. I'm a bit closer. You guys can see me. Hi. All right. Now let's see what Dawn has to say.
Other individuals on the Zoom, they currently have their cameras off. I believe they're both muted. I would just simply ask that we take one person in turn. You are on the Zoom. It is viewable in the courtroom. I want to acknowledge, ma'am, I did receive what I believe is a written statement that you faxed.
And there's the grandmother. Grandparents are so sweet, man, but they I know a lot of my subscribers are grandparents. So I mean, no offense when I say this, but I know you guys know I'm telling the truth. Technology has not been kind to you guys. Your relationship with technology is not the greatest. And that's why she's coming into the Zoom call and you can only see her eyebrows and up because technology is it's a little bit of a challenge when we get older, right? We kind of, things kind of start advancing farther than we can.
To the court.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and then if that is, I'm not sure who joined us at the moment. All right, is that Ms. Edwards? All right, Ms.
Yes.
Edwards, if you could please, I'm gonna have Ms. Woods talk first, and then I'll have you next. If you could keep your camera off and your microphone muted until it's your turn to talk. That way I can
Alright.
give my full attention to Ms. Woods.
Sure.
There we go. Very good. Thank you. All right. So once again, Ms. Woods, I believe you sent in a fax yesterday. Is that right?
No, I believe it was this morning.
Oh, this morning. All right. I have
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
And I've read it. Go ahead. What would you like to tell the court? And thank you for being with us today.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. I have two things I would like to tell. One is a written statement, Your Honor, and then I have a poem I would like to read after my statement, if that's permissible. Okay, thank you, thank you. Mental illness affects everyone. It destroys lives, families, and hurts society. For far too long, it's been a dirty little secret in families that no one wants to talk about. Mental illness is the elephant in the room that so many pretend it's not there.
So we have an immediate problem that I had, and I watched this live, like when the trial was happening, and I'll never forget. I was actually I was in Wisconsin for oh, my neighbor's dog is outside. I love that guy. Sorry guys. I was watching this trial, and I remember I was watching it live from Wisconsin. I was there for my annual Green Bay trip. This was in 2022, obviously. Um this was actually Aaron Rodgers' last season with the Packers. You guys remember that? If you're Packers fans, that was a very up and down year. I was at that Thursday night Tennessee Titans game. Um and a few days before, or a couple of days before, was the sentencing of Darrell Brooks. And I remember me and my buddy, we were gonna go. We were like, you know what? Hey, do you want to go to a sentencing? And he was, my buddy is down for anything. So he was like, yeah, like let's do it. But I was like, you know what? Nah, forget that. Let's go watch it, um, from a restaurant or whatever. So I was in the state, but I ultimately decided not to go. But anyway, I remember watching this. And I think what stood out to me the most was Don immediately started talking about mental health. And okay, we can talk about mental health. We can have a real discussion about mental health. However, the first thing out of your mouth should be, I'd like to apologize on behalf of my son to all the victims in this case. That's number one. She never, she doesn't say anything. I don't even like, we're going to watch her whole remarks, but I don't remember anything standing out to me where she actually said anything about the 6 victims that lost their lives, like in a real genuine way. You remember the grandmother when she did her thing, one of the first things she did was apologize. And I came away from her sentencing remarks okay, I like her a lot more than Dawn. Um, but a lot of people still had issue with her because she was. It seemed like she was promoting herself and like her church initiatives more than keeping the focus on the case. I can see that, but I wasn't as offended by the grandmother's remarks as I was by Don Wood's remarks. And it's because Don Woods made the entire thing about Darrell and his issues, his need for help. She mentions nothing about the countless families that are changed forever that need assistance, that need help. What about their mental health? What about the PTSD that your son has given them? What about the anxiety that your son has given them? What about the physical injuries that are permanent that your son has given these people that are now leading to mental health issues, right? Take me for example. I obviously I'm not a victim of this, but um this is just a connection of how physical can lead to mental, right? I suffer from chronic back pain. My vertebrae is out of alignment. So this is what your vertebrae is supposed to look like. Okay. Mine is like this. It's slipped. It's a slip disc. Okay. It's supposed to be flush. Mine sticks out like that. Um, Injury I sustained while I was in the service. There are days where if the pain is bad enough, it'll actually lead to mental anxiety for me because the pain is so bad. So mentally, I'll have these anxiety attacks. Now, I've done different things. Um, I have a bit of a routine how I start my day, that helps me kind of deal with that stuff, right? Like um, in the morning, I come down to my space. Like on the other side of this studio, on the other side of this camera is I guess I'll call it my altar, where I keep pictures of all of my past loved ones, and light candles for them, and I burn sage in the morning, and I just clear my space out, and I release any anxiety, any tension in my chest that I feel. I release it immediately to start my day, and I do that every time I'm about to come on my computer and do videos for you guys as well. So if you guys are feeling the good energy, good. It's because I'm intentionally setting that every time before I start recording. I always do it. So I sage every corner of my room. I light my candle. I sit and I think about what I want, you know, the the videos to give to people, which is normally positivity and awareness of the need for accountability. Those are like my two biggest things. Um, but again, the physical ailments, right? My back is bad enough. I can wake up with anxiety attacks that I have to manage. Now that's just a slip vertebrae. Is it painful? Yes. Life altering in a way. Yes. 100% service connected with the VA. But what these people went through at this parade was worse. Okay, we're talking broken bones, torn ligaments. We're talking concussions. We're talking kids that were hit where you got to think these kids are still developing physically, right? They're still growing and their bones are getting stronger. You just altered their entire development process. It would not be surprising if some of these kids come out of this and as they get older their bones aren't growing in the correct way. Uh, there's chronic pain that they deal with for the rest of their life. Like it's not fun, and it can lead to mental issues. If we want to have a serious conversation, Dawn, about mental health and mental health issues, then let's talk about that. Let's talk about what your son has inflicted upon all these people. Let's talk about the parents of Jackson Sparks who probably can never get the image of their their little boy's lifeless, bruised body out of their head, who probably have nightmares about it every single night, who've had to deal with Jackson's big brother and his emotional distress from the situation, and how Jackson's big brother is probably going to blame himself for the rest of his life for what happened. That's a mental ailment. But no, you wanted to come on this Zoom call and just try to garner sympathy for your son. And you wanted to do it through Zoom. Again, this cowardice that just can't be forgiven. Cowardice. You come on this Zoom call and you run your mouth about mental health, but you do it from the safety of your own home because you know you don't have what it takes to make your way to that courtroom and face those people that your son hurt. Face those people that were victims of a crime that you tried to get your son out of. You don't have the guts. Cowardice runs in this in this family, in this bloodline.
People who suffer from it are often shunned by families and friends, rejected by society, and made fun of, the subject of bad jokes, ridiculed, and judged on YouTube, podcasts, Facebook, and other media posts, used in campaign ads, disrespected, stripped of their dignity. No one cares. No one sees their pain or hears their cries and pleas for help. They are the forgotten ones and viewed by many of not having a place in society. It is no fault of their own that they have become ill and began to change from the person we all knew. Once viewed as fun, loving, and kind, are now the outcasts of society. We say they're what's wrong with society? They're idiots, unfit. They need to be disposed of, thrown out with the rest of the trash. They serve no purpose. The same my brother's keeper doesn't apply to them. And the Bible in the book of Philippians chapter 2, verse 4, it says, let each of you not look only to his own interests, but also the interests of others.
That's funny you mentioned the Bible because it also says thou shalt not kill, but I guess we're not going to talk about that part, right?
Mental illness caused them to do the unthinkable. They must be punished. Yes, I agree. There should be some accountability to their for their actions. But we also must render help. What good is punishment without correction? To prevent
I'm going to stop you there, Don, because your son killed 6 people. He's never getting out of prison. Like, when we talk about rehabilitation, we're talking about people who have a chance to see the light of day. Your son doesn't even have a chance for parole. Nobody cares about rehabilitation of Darrell Brooks at this point. He is who he is, and as a result, he is no longer allowed in society. That's the end of it. So, all this talk about what good is punishment without rehabilitation, your son is past the rehabilitation part. If he wants to rehabilitate himself, he can feel free to do that from the comfort of a jail cell for the rest of his life. But we're talking about rehabilitation? No, this case is about punishment. He deserves to be punished. Sometimes it's just about punishment. You killed 6 people and injured dozens. It's just about punishment now. Rehabilitation does not matter. Who cares? Who cares? I don't. Nobody cares. All that's over. That ship has sailed.
the act. from happening again.
It's not going to happen again, Dawn. He's getting 1,000 years. So it's not going to happen again. You should have been saying this at his This is not his first stint in jail. Actually, it's so funny. It's so funny. It's so funny. You're talking about rehabilitation. Guess what? You know when he would have had a chance for rehabilitation? You know when he would have had an opportunity? If you hadn't bailed him out when he tried to run over Erica. Well, when he successfully ran over Erica's foot. If you wouldn't have tried to bail him out, guess what? Those 5 years minimum that he would have probably spent in prison, he could have been rehabilitated. But you bailed him out. Not only did you bail him out, you bailed him out and then gave him back access to the very same car that he just used to run over Erica's foot. The car that's in your name. But now you want to talk about rehabilitation. And you want to mention the word accountability like, oh, yeah, of course, of course there should be accountability. But no, let's focus on that accountability word. Let's focus on that accountability word. You failed to give him that his entire life. And now look at him. Now he's somewhere where you can't help him. And you know what, Dawn? What's so crazy is the effect that this is going to have on you. You have dug your own grave as well. Because unfortunately, your daughter passed away. God rest her soul. And now your son is in prison for the rest of his life. Who's going to be taking care of you when you can't take care of yourself anymore? Who's going to organize your funeral? You will have no children left to speak at your funeral service when you're dead and gone. How sad is that? Like, really, just think about that for a second. How sad and unfortunate. Of course, there's nothing you really could have done about your daughter. It's a separate instance, but your son, who you're supposed to raise to be a man, is now going to be somebody's little boy toy in prison because you wouldn't give him accountability. Rehabilitation? Girl, please.
In their cases, or many of their cases, treatment, therapy, medication, hospitals, and institutions that specialize in helping those who suffer with mental illness need to be offered. And I believe these places can help those who suffer become mentally well. I believe lawmakers and society as a whole need to recognize mental illness. Mental illness cannot be eradicated with prison bars. Mental illness is going to always.
Yes, little boy. Come here. My son is about to make his first appearance on the channel in a while. Baby, I told you I was recording. Is there something you need? Here. Can I help you?
Can I have gummies? Can I have my vitamins?
That's what you're interrupting the video for?
Yeah.
Vitamins?
Yeah.
Vitamins.
Yeah.
Go get the vitamins and I'll give you some. Kids, I tell you. Go get the bottle and I'll get it. Oh, Lord. See, I know a thing or two about raising a child because I'm raising a child. And when Zane does things wrong, he faces accountability for it. We don't tell him that things aren't his fault when they are. There are consequences. There's also praise when he does things right. And guess what? My son's autistic, which means if I wanted to, I could make a million and one excuses for him as to why he does things, tell people to leave him alone, don't give him any accountability. But that's not what we do because that's not a good thing for him. That's not going to help him.
Be there. It's invasive. With treatment and therapy, medication, and hospitals and institutions that specialize in the treatment of mental illness, it can be controlled. What else can we do as a society to help those who suffer from mental illness? How about showing a little compassion, empathy, and some understanding? Families need to advocate for those who cannot speak for themselves or who struggle to understand what's happening to them. Lawmakers should support by providing resources to individuals so they can get the help they need.
You know what's funny, Don? This is already a thing. Like, why are we getting on the Zoom call and acting like these resources aren't available? Because they are. They are.
Now, I've been dealing with mental illness for over 30 some odd years. And here's my take on it. And I think I have a little insight on it. From the surface, I believe that treatments need to be offered. I believe that if treatment is offered early, when the signs of mental illness first shows, and it's addressed and stayed on top of, instead of let people lagger and fall through the cracks, just maybe there would be less court cases and less people crying because their loved ones was hurt or was injured or killed because someone of mental illness attacked them. Maybe that needs to be done. Treatment needs to be done early and right away and stayed up on, and not let people fall through the crack holes and not be shunned out the door. It's the same. You don't have a mental illness. You're just a bad person and needs to be locked up. Jail is not the only answer. Help, treatment, hospitalization, and medication, it plays a big role in preventing this where we are today if it would have been offered sooner. Now, I have a poem that I have adopted, not just for my son, Darrell.
We're not going to listen to this poem. What I want to actually take a look at here is just a few of the um like I said, this we're not going to sit here and listen to Don Woods pretend that there's no mental health resources. So I've asked, what mental health resources and programs are there in the Milwaukee area that have existed since at least 2020? These are just 5 well-established programs and services in the Milwaukee area, active since at least 2020, that provide mental health related support. Milwaukee County Department of Health and Human Services, a county government behavioral health division that covers crisis services, adult children outpatient services, mobile crisis teams, access clinics, 24-hour crisis line for adults and children in Milwaukee County, access clinics for initial assessment, adult services, child services. The program listing clearly shows it's active and ongoing through 2025. It's a public, ongoing portfolio of services, crisis and outpatient, in the Milwaukee region, and its web listing shows current operations demonstrating continuing services since at least 2020. CFI Behavioral Health, a nonprofit provider in partnership with Milwaukee County DHHS, offering outpatient behavioral health care, crisis resource centers, case management, etc. Froddart and MCW Behavioral Health Services, a health system based provider serving Milwaukee and surrounding counties, offers outpatient, intensive outpatient programs for children, adults, families. Community Advocates, Public Policy Institute, mental health and wellness programming, local policy and advocacy organization that publishes resources, training, and tools for mental health and wellness in Milwaukee County. NAMI Wisconsin, a local affiliate network. It's a statewide mental health advocacy, support, and education organization. Local affiliates serve Milwaukee and the region. We are not going to sit here and listen to Don Woods try to act like mental health resources did not exist. If you wanted them, they were there. If you sought them out, they were there. And bipolar disorder does not make you run through a Christmas parade, killing 6 and injuring dozens. That is it for what I have today, Don Woods. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Get yourself a channel membership so that you can access all of my videos as soon as they're uploaded, as opposed to waiting. Don't miss out, okay? Follow me on my social medias, Alfonso McCree Jr. on Instagram, Alfonso Speaks on TikTok. And thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Stay safe, stay blessed.